Hi, everybody. My name is Sabrina, and I'm going to be your host for Ordinary People. This is Season 1, Episode 1. And first of all, before I get into the nitty gritty, I just want to say thank you and welcome. And secondly, good luck, because I don't know what we're in store for, but at the end of the day, Ordinary People is about highlighting the extraordinary things that ordinary people do on a day-to-day basis. And I actually had recorded my first episode, and it was like really far away, and I was doing my makeup and all these things, and I'm not that happy with how my makeup came out because I don't normally wear makeup, but like it's okay. I got a cute little hat on that bobbles, so yeah. But basically, the concept for Ordinary People came because I've wanted to do a podcast for a really long time, and I toyed with the idea and had a lot of different varying ideas of what I could do with it, but somebody said something to me and they were like, well, what is unique about what you're trying to do? Everybody is doing podcasts and everybody's doing these things. Like, what makes you stand out among the crowd? And in that, it took a lot of self-reflection, but I realized I don't. I'm just another ordinary person. And sorry, I have notes on just in case I get sidetracked, because part of me, I can ramble, and there's different communication styles, and I'm definitely a rambler. I can go, most people go like A, B, C, D, etc. I'm like A, 3, Z, B, 2, 5, whatever it may be. So to try to make sure that my point gets across coherently. And that's something I'm actively working on, and I'm sure like down the road, I'm going to rewatch this episode and be like, facepalm, what was I doing? Like, come on, Sabrina. But at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere, and this is where we're starting. So Ordinary People, again, is just about highlighting the extraordinary things that ordinary, everyday people do. And I want to make something very clear. When we look at celebrities or influencers, people of notoriety or of fame, at the end of the day, they're just another ordinary person. And it's really interesting when you start to have communication with people and realize how many lessons you can learn in life. And sometimes you don't even have to physically or personally experience it yourself. You can just hear it from word of mouth and learn and grow from it. And I think that's the beautiful thing about life. So welcome to Ordinary People, and I'm super excited to have you here. Super excited just to be doing this and getting out of my shell a little bit. I am a very extroverted person, but I have my moments of introvertedness. And that for me is something I like to call quiet time. So I'll give myself, it's something my parents did when I was a kid, but I would have like 2 hours to myself and I could do whatever I wanted to, but it was just to give that time, one, for them to have a little bit of a break, but two, I needed that for myself. And so now as I've gotten older, I really enjoy having some quiet time and, just step away from everything, because it can get exhausting, and it can, your energy gets depleted when you don't let it recharge. So I just want to check my notes really quick. Yeah, I'm hitting everything I wrote down. So I kind of just gave myself a basis of like the points I wanted to make on my first episode. And one of the big things too is an accountability of what you can expect, what I can expect, what our guests can expect, just holding an accountability and setting an expectation for what the purpose of this platform is. And it really is just to highlight everyday people and find peace and comfort in the stories that other people have gone through, and find that positive light. Find what was the benefit of that negative circumstance. I know for a long time I've struggled with finding the positive, and I'll get to my first question that I want to keep continuous amongst all my interviews and all the people that I talk to is, tell me about yourself. And when you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, whatever it may be, ask yourself these questions. Can you tell me about yourself? Is that something that you can formalize into words? Because I know for me, to tell about myself, I am a quarter of a century for the rest of this month. And then I'm older than that. But I'm already closer to 30 than I am to 20. And that is like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on? Life goes so fast. And you really have to take advantage of all the moments and opportunities that are presented to you. And so one of those things for me is to tell you about myself and why I'm focusing the first few episodes of this podcast and this series on myself because I want you to understand who I am as a person, and I sometimes need to understand who I am as well. So it's a mutual beneficial learning experience. And so if I were to tell you about myself, I would give myself one word, and that is positive. And I haven't always been that way. It's definitely been an uphill journey. Like I used to say, well, someone actually said to me one time, and then I was like, oh, I like that. Like, I'm going to use that. Like, my life is like a roller coaster. Like, you're going up and down and you're doing all the loops. But it was so bad for me. It was like I was on a roller coaster and I didn't even listen to the attendant. And so I had my hands and my feet out of the cart. And instead of just going through all those loops and turns and going backwards, I was doing all that while hanging out of the cart. And that was how I felt. It was this like overwhelming negative feeling that I could not shake off or get rid of. And so now through a lot of, mindset training and really reworking my brain to think in a different way, I like this metaphor instead, and I came up with this. So it's like you're on an escalator, and life is the escalator. It's going to continue moving forward. If the mechanisms are made properly, it's just going to keep moving forward, whether you're on it or not. And one thing about an escalator is if you get too comfortable and you lean on that little conveyor belt thing that goes the opposite way of the steps, you might slip back and fall. But if you've built the foundation and the mechanics correctly, it's going to bring you back up. And so that's how I kind of feel in life right now, is that I'm on an escalator and I'm just moving forward. If I want to get a little bit further ahead, I can take a few extra steps, but my foundation, the mechanics are still moving forward, whether I am or not. And with that though, don't get overwhelmed and thinking you have to have this like huge foundation and build like this support system and all these things, because those are great for our long-term growth and our journey in life. But at the end of the day, the foundation is your mind. The foundation is you setting these little roadblocks to prevent your mind from depleting itself. And there's something really amazing in the way that we as ordinary people process and work through experiences in life, whether positive or negative. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm on an escalator and I'm just riding it out and taking a few extra steps. And, this is one of those extra steps where I'm pushing myself forward and putting myself out there in hopes that somebody is going to listen to this and connect with this and say, you know what, I can put myself out there. I'm going to do something a little bit different. And so one of the big things when I was in a really bad negative headspace was my mom would ask me, who did you make smile today? And it can't be a friend or a family member, because naturally you should already be making them smile. And so it gave me this goal to have to find a stranger and be able to share a moment with them of positivity and then be able to reflect on that with my mom. And so that's something I'm going to give you a little homework. Who did you make smile today? And it can be a friend, it could be a family member, or it could be a stranger. So I would love if you wanted to share that with me. You are more than welcome to comment on the post, send me a direct message, anything that you feel is comfortable. Or if you don't feel like sharing and you just like the words that you're listening to, feel free to give us a like and share it to somebody else. Hey! I'm at my mom's house right now, so I got dogs in the background. They were doing so good just before, and I realized for my other sound bit, you're going to hear their feet clicking until they go and lay down. Completely me up. I have no idea where I was. I think where I was at was I was giving you some homework to do. So my goal for you is to, make somebody smile. So whether it be a friend, family member, or stranger, have that in the back of your head of, oh, I have to make somebody smile and I want to share that with somebody else. And it's just a way to spread positivity. Charlie girl. So let me check my notes real quick. Oh, one thing too. So that's my homework. Make somebody smile. But something I want you to recognize too in communication styles and how people speak, I'm going to break it down to like two ends of the spectrum, but in reality, nothing in this world is black and white. There's a gray area. There's a lot of in the middle ground and all that. But it's two different styles of communication. So there's like checkpoint A, which is very like direct, short, to the point. And then there's checkpoint B, which is a little more fluid, a little extra wordy, more deep potentially in what they're saying, and might get a little misconstrued in what the actual point is. I think you can tell where I am on the spectrum, B, but it's still that middle ground. I have moments where I'm like right on point and I make those good points, and then sometimes it's just like, this is saying. And yeah, but it's okay. You just have to accept it and know that's how you are. And a good thing in recognizing the different styles of communication is understanding how somebody else communicates and whether you can make changes in how you speak to better deliver your point to them, or you can understand them better and not get so offended potentially on what they're saying, because that's a big part right now in our society, is getting easily offended and not realizing whether it's a joke or, sometimes people say things, and one of the biggest things that I realized is the words or things that other people say to me don't affect me that badly. Like, of course, I'm human. I'm an ordinary person. It does affect me a little bit. But I've probably said it to myself or thought of it myself. And so if you're your own worst critic, nobody else is ever going to top you. Nobody else is ever going to be able to beat you down, because you're probably already beating yourself down. And there is a fine line in moderating that beat down. And that's a big part of life too, is everything is about moderation, especially with the influx of our use of social media now and technology. We have to find that balance. There is a balance, and you just have to find it, and you'll feel a lot better when you find it. But think about it as simple as when you go out to a restaurant, or even you're eating at a dinner table. I don't normally eat at a dinner table, but that kind of atmosphere. When you are in that sphere, are you locked down on your phone, like reading something off your phone, or watching like little YouTube shorts or Instagram reels or TikTok videos, rather than realizing you have the opportunity to have a physical, direct communication with somebody else, and you're wasting that opportunity to have instant gratification from your phone? So what I would suggest is put the phones down in the middle of the table, or leave the phones in the car. If you have kids, maybe have an Apple Watch, so if they're calling you, like, you can be there for it. But really enjoy that time, because it's actually really fun. Like, I mean it seriously. It is so much fun to communicate. And I think especially the past few years and, lockdown and not being able to really see people face to face, we've become accustomed now to this digital form of communication, and there's just nothing that compares to being physically with somebody else. And so I hope that you think back on that, and maybe next time just put the phone down just for dinner and enjoy that conversation, because you never know what you may get out of that conversation. So yeah, social media, things like that. I said I was positive, and I haven't always been that way. That's like definitely been a big challenge, because I felt like I was always extrovertly positive, like on excuse me. But on the surface, like when other people were around me, they'd always be like, oh, you're so positive, you're so happy all the time. And behind closed doors, I was really, really sad all the time. And it was because when I finally had that quiet time, or that time alone to myself, I spent it by reflecting on the past and thinking, oh, if this would have gone differently, then I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in right now. Rather than being grateful that I had to go through that opportunity and that challenge to get to my future self, or get to a different level. And so a big reset that I did on my brain was, instead of focusing on the past and how it related to my present, it's focusing on my present and how it's going to improve my future. And I know that my future self is going to be like, yes, get a bit, okay, ooh, Cardi B, I hope you're proud of me on that one. I'm proud of that. No, lost it. Never mind. Take it back. It was just a fluke. But yeah, there's just parts of life where you really have to think, what is it going to be like a year from now, or 5 years from now, or even tomorrow? and not get so caught up on the mistakes of the past, because we make failures in life, and some of the biggest successes come from some of the biggest failures, because we've learned, grown, changed, and then put out, or not put out. There's definitely a better word. But yeah, so doing that. There's a big thing in life. I feel like you can kind of break it down when you're upset about something. And this is also something I used to do. If a new negative experience came up, I would bring all of the old negative experiences that I had from the past into the present. So now I'm not just upset about this one thing that's happening. I'm upset about all the things that have happened. And in doing that, it's like cancer for your brain. It is so bad. And then you start to spiral and you start to get upset, and then you start to not take care of yourself. Like, that's one of the biggest things. I know if I'm upset, I need to go shower. If I shower, I'm going to feel better. But then you get in this lull where you're like, I kind of like being upset because now no one's talking to me and I have this alone time, which for me, I was always looking at, sometimes I'm around people so much where I'm just like, I need to decompress. I need time to myself. And so I knew that if I would get upset, I wouldn't shower, which would make me not want to go out and do things, and then I wouldn't have to be around people. Instead of just, you got to stop walking, Charlie. Sit. Sit. Because your feet are in my video right now and it's killing me. Sit. Good girl. All right. Now I got Charlie next to me. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but my dog Charlie, she's a little over 3 years old. She's a Doberman. She's the best thing ever, and I love her so much. She's like my first dog that's actually mine, not like a childhood dog that you had or childhood animal. Like, this is my little baby girl. But yeah, another thing is when those negative experiences pop up. I know I kind of finished that point, so I'll move past it. But when those negative experiences pop up, you have to look at it and say one of two things. Is this something that I myself can change? Or is this something that is out of my control and it's on somebody else? Because we can't change other people. You have to learn how to cope when you can't change a situation and recognize that you might not enjoy what it is, but find the positive in it. And if it's really bad, find a way to distract yourself to cope and do it in a positive light and moderate it. So for me, my recent one has been Angry Birds 2. That's so embarrassing, but I love Angry Birds 2, and it's just a mindless little game that you can play, and things like Candy Crush or Sudoku, or is it Sudoku, I don't know, or crossword puzzles. And that's the interesting thing to think about, this influx of all these apps, all these games, this accessibility of being able to distract ourselves is still the same thing that they used to do back in the 70s, 80s, all the way up until I think early 2000s. Like, newspapers were really popular, and there was cartoon strips in newspapers or crosswords in newspapers. And now it's just adapted to the accessibility of being able to download an app on our phone and do the same things, distract ourselves. And so that's what you can do. Find ways to cope, things that make you happy, and maybe you have to reflect on that and really look deep within yourself. What makes me happy? What makes Sabrina happy? Showering, video games every once in a while. Sometimes food makes me happy, especially desserts. Chef's kiss. And my animals. I love animals, and I love my support circle and my group. And so I know when I have those moments, I can go to them. But I also love a pen and a paper. And this is where I get into my second part of, if it's something that you can change, take the time to actually write down what you're feeling, why you're feeling this way, who's causing you to feel this way, and then figure out what you can do to fix it. Write your plan out. And sometimes you don't even have to refer back to the plan itself, like what you wrote. You literally can just write it, and then it's in your subconscious, and you're naturally, everything you're doing is kind of geared towards that. I let her walk, so I didn't have to hear the feet in the background, because that is a big pet peeve. I need to figure out a better little recording studio, but I'm making it work with what I got. Do you enjoy it so far? All right. But yeah, so there's either something you can do about it, or you can't do anything about it, so distract yourself. Go lay down. So finding ways to distract yourself. A lot of times people also use humor. So if you can think about it, I'm going to use like an extreme scenario, like being at a funeral, which is a really sad time for a lot of people. But when you recognize that you can find the humor and the celebration of life in those moments, and typically normally it's like one person that pulls everybody else out of the funk. And to be that person, like, kudos to you, because that is an amazing thing to be, and a positive light for other people, and celebrating the life that this person in particular has lived, rather than being upset that they're no longer here. You have to think about it. They're no longer in pain. They're on whatever next journey or path, however you want to look at life and what comes after it. We really don't know, so you got to find whatever makes you feel good about it. But yeah, that's an amazing thing. And some people behind closed doors, that's when they're upset. They're going to watch like America's Home Videos, or, well, really now it's like YouTube compilations, like Fail Army and stuff like that. But I like those videos. Like, sometimes they're funny, but sometimes they'll like cut it right when somebody just got hurt, and I don't like those. Like, I don't like seeing people get hurt. No. But if someone like falls and slips in front of me, I will always ask them, "Are you okay?" And then if they're like, "Yes," I start laughing, because I think that stuff is so funny. Like, so that's why I like those videos, but just not when someone actually gets hurt. Like, that's just bad. But yeah, I do want to start to wrap up episode 1. The next few episodes are just going to be about me. I'll have some different topics, but if you guys have anything you want to share, like a story of who you've made smile, or how you spread some positivity in your local sphere of influence or people, I would love to hear it, and I would love to be able to highlight it and showcase it in our future episodes, and really be able to have this be a community of unity. Ooh, I like that. A community of unity. Just to live more positive lives and just be happier. So tune in every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I used to live on the East Coast, so my heart goes out to the East Coast, so I'll include you in, but I am on the West Coast now, until further notice. But so tune in. We're going to have new episodes posted every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm just super excited for this journey. Really grateful if you stuck it out this far and listened to the Sabrina rambles, and definitely more of a Checkpoint B conversation. But I'm just really looking forward to what the possibilities are from this platform, and what it can do for not only myself, but for other people. And I just really hope that this touched you in some way and made you feel like you have a friend in me. And I know that this community is just an amazing opportunity. Like, when you really look at a situation, it's not just being like, oh, I'm just going to post a video. You're being intentional about the message that you want to put out and what you're trying to promote. And for me, that's positivity. It's the one word I use to describe myself, even though I could probably go on. I have 25 years of experience, so positive is not the only thing to describe me, but it is one of the most important things to me, and that's one of my core values, is to be positive. And so I hope you can respect that, and when you are commenting or sharing this with other people, or if you're sending a DM, just reread it. A lot of people have this like braggadocio, I don't even know if that's the right word, but I'm going to use it, braggadocio mindset, like, oh, I'm behind a phone so I can say anything. And you don't realize there's another ordinary person on the other side of that, now potentially being upset because of the words you said. And again, people more than before are getting offended by things, and hopefully we start to kind of decrease that out of normalcy and just realize you're not going to make everybody happy, but you can try your best, and you just have to know you're true to yourself, you're true to your values, and you're a good person at the end of the day, and you're just a good, ordinary person, and that's okay. Even all these celebrities and influencers, they are just ordinary people, and you have to remind yourself of that there's nothing that sets them apart from you. If you start to make all these excuses of why you can't do something, then what good does that do? Just, in a sense, grow up and say, okay, I want to do this for myself, and I'm going to do this, and this is how I'm going to. Hold on, I got another burp. This is so embarrassing, but this is who I am, so accept it. kidding. But yeah, so just being an ordinary person. Tune in Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be posting new episodes. And for the first few episodes, I'm just going to get more comfortable with recording and doing these things, but gearing up to the point to have some guests on and be able to share our viewers' stories of positive moments or even negative experiences that they've seen and found the positive in, so that maybe somebody else can find that as well. So again, I really appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed this first episode, and to wrap it up, I am Sabrina, and this was episode 1 of Ordinary People. See you next time. I should do the Michael Scott spin. Hold on.